and welcome to the New World Review, where we are going to— Whoa! Look out behind you! No, really, no, be careful! You don't want it to sneak up behind you! Check that out. Here we see the subscribe button in its native environment. It looks red and it's looking directly at you. How, you ask? Do you make it stop staring at you? Well, dear friend, the best way to stop it is to click it, and it will face away from you, and you will see its grey behind pointing delicately in your direction. Okay, but enough of that foolishness. Why don't we talk about Hunter x Hunter, because that's why I'm here. That's why you're watching, and you can already see bountiful, beautiful button behinds. Anyway, episode 54. Ah yes, the creepy laughter of children. Exactly what we want in our day-to-day world. This episode seems to be setting us up for the next arc, which I suspect is going to take place in Meteor City, the land of opportunity and non-existence. Yay! Back to Crollo's childhood, which tells us something? We've heard about Meteor City before. Canary hails from that region. We knew that the Phantom Troop came from there because she told Killua about it way back when. I'll be honest, the idea of getting out of normal cities with huge numbers of iPhones to a literal dump is quite appealing, even if everyone there is still Mafia. There's something I keep touching on, which is the emotional connection between the members of the Phantom Troop, and I'd like to touch on it a little more here. It tells us a lot about Crollo, knowing he was raised in that dump. It's your typical rags to riches tale of a man who decided to Fagin his way to glory, except with the addition of really dangerous abilities that make them all ludicrously sociopathic to everyone outside of their group. The fact that he's willing to leave Uvogin and take the rest of them home rather than pushing his luck and potentially losing more of them shows that the fortunes they received, in which they're all mourning the loss of a member, is more than just words. The Phantom Troop actually are mourning, and their behaviour was in fact a response to that mourning. It doesn't make it good or right, but it gives them a level of humanity that I've been seeing but not fully connecting with to now. In the same way that Gon going home and spending time on the beach with Killua discussing how much he cares for Mito humanized him, seeing that Crollo collected his group of people from all over but that they were likely all outcasts that banded together to form a strange sort of family humanizes them. They're monsters, sure, but monsters in the same way that Gon and Killua are monsters, and broken in the same way that Kurapika's broken. The central tension of this series seems to be the effect of revenge on people who could otherwise be good people, and it would be interesting to see what could have happened to Crollo if he'd had a different life. In that way, it's particularly important to notice that once he had Neon's power, he could have killed her, but chose not to, and by the same token, he chose not to kill or try to kill the Zoldycks. That second point might be more because they're an important part of the ecosystem of evil system, if you will, but still. Where he can avoid it, he doesn't kill, and nor do any of the other troop members. They're sort of a neutral evil. They do things for their own purposes and don't kill unless they need to, or unless they're told to. They're effective war machines and effective at doing what they want or need to, but they have enough restraint to only do it if there is a distinct benefit to the action. Continuing the heartbreaking experience of last episode, Kurapika finally caught up with his friends, and they were all finally back together for the first time since the end of the main part of the Hunter exam. Knowing what he would learn about the existence of the Phantom Troop eventually meant that the excitement and happiness of the situation was incredibly tense as a watching experience, because I spent the entire time trying to figure out when Kurapika would learn. The timing of it, when he just decided to put down the revenge and seek out his people, made it all the more heartbreaking. Also, Killua made a very good point, and now Kurapika's in a serious amount of danger because his friends know information about him that compromises him. What they need to do now is make sure they kill Pakunoda first. Get rid of her and the others will never know that compromising information, right? Hey, do we think her boobs are like armor or something? Because I can't imagine how else she keeps them that still in her jacket. Sorry, still thinking about that. Also, will Kurapika accept their help now that they're just going to give away his secrets if they get caught again anyway? Let's discuss these fortunes. I'm not going to run through all of them this time. I love a good fortune and a bit of prophecy, but it's all about how the prophecy is interpreted that makes for an interesting time. In this particular case, it's about how they interpret their own prophecies that makes for an interesting time. The response by some to their death is more expected than others. Some are clearly not afraid of dying, and others, Nobunaga, is blinded by the need for revenge. Vacuum Girl was just trying to understand the situation. She didn't seem to care one way or the other whether she died, just understanding the future. I suppose being really forgetful, she won't need to worry about it for long anyway. Hisoka's fortune changing? Why? Does he have a nullifying ability? Did handing it over change it because the outcome is different now? Does he know what the new version says? Well, they read it out loud. Is he about to do something different? What happens now? What happens now? I want to know. Let's watch episode 55. Okay, this was a largely static episode of discussion and planning. As someone who plays a lot of tabletop roleplay games, this sort of episode is really actually very important. The tension dropped soon after we opened it up because we can't maintain the level of tension that happened in the last few episodes. We need a break mentally and we need time to re-engage with where the story is. It's a really clever play by the writer, especially when you take into account all the fortunes that were told. It puts everyone into their mind rather than their body, so we're thinking about what these fortunes could mean rather than, feeling tense. The second Crawler got in the way of Nobunaga attacking Hisoka, I could tell that what we were doing was a controlled leech of energy, and that's actually fine by me. As long as it doesn't sustain, as long as we don't stay in this place of bleh, it's great. I'm also hoping still, and probably futilely at this point, that we leave York New and go somewhere else, somewhere with less phones, but I also doubt that. It's possible one group will lure the other out of the city to a less observed, less dense area, but I also really don't know that one either. So Hisoka's inflating Kurapika's abilities, unless he can't tell them for another reason. It doesn't feel like a lie, but it also must be, mustn't it? The swing of death has been swung in Chrollo's direction, and I can't help but think Hisoka's cheating on Gon at this point. Arguably, Gon also has a swung in the direction of the entire Phantom Troop. Hisoka has the ability... Sorry, I should go back and yeah, you know what? Gon has a swing. He has a swing. We've seen his swing. His swing was with Zephyr, okay? That swing. You have to fulfill your potential. That is a mini swing. I'm just to make that clear. That's what a mini swing looks like. So Gon's mini swing swung in the same direction as Hisoka's swing has swung. Anyway, let's move on. Hisoka has the ability to tell fortunes. I wonder whether he can know what they are, or if they shift based on what he expects, or if he's just writing fortunes really quickly. What we know is that he's not lying to them, so he can't, what we think we know is that he's not lying to them, so he can't possibly have complete control over the ability the same way Chrollo doesn't. It's a good point though. Chrollo mimics other people's abilities. Does every person's ability work the same way? They have different names for them. To what degree do they have the same effect? Are they imagination based? Obviously for conjurers it's by their creativity, but is that the same for everyone? We're being kept on top of what's happening with Melody and Neon and being given some insight into character relationships, which tells me we've got some death incoming. Huzzah! Either the maid is gonna die or Dogman, who has the most adorable puppies. Just saying, yay puppies. Killwa's desire to have Kurapika turn Gon down was an interesting choice. I understand that he wants Gon to stick to his own plans, but it also points out something of note. Killwa doesn't see Kurapika as a close friend or someone of as much note as Gon. That might seem obvious, but by the end of the episode, they're all basically signing up for the same fate. Signing up to put Kurapika in danger, I suppose, so there's little direct danger to Killwa himself. That said, Kurapika deciding to let Gon decide strategy is perhaps the most brazen and possibly downright dangerous thing that's happened in this arc. We've noticed that Gon works on instinct. We've noted that he doesn't do strategy so much as recklessness, and yet here is Kurapika saying, hey, you choose how to handle this, but I need a second with people you haven't managed to deal with in a group before. That's wild. That said, having said earlier that the most important person they have to get rid of is Pakunoda, that's exactly who they're going for. So hey, I managed to predict something correctly for once. That's nice and speaks to my incredible intelligence and fortune-telling prowess. That was Leorio. The fact that Kurapika's chains are a way to force Zetsu would be really important if I could remember what all these things did. Okay, let's see. Zetsu is the way to avoid being detected. Detective Zetsu. It stops your sweaty aura from leaking? Right, okay. So sweaty aura, gone. Right, so forcing people to use their Zetsu... forcing people to use or shut down their Zetsu, one of the two, forces them to shut down their aura. It forces them to turn it off. So, no Nen. Nen 9. And without Nen, you can't do anything but stand there hopeless and helpless in chains and be trapped. That sounds like it sucks quite a bit. And now Kurapika can choose when to make his eyes scarlet, but they have to be scarlet in order for him to be a specialist, so he can't hide them from Pakunoda, so that's him deliberately revealing himself to them. And does that mean Chrollo could steal his power? How do people become members of the Spider Clan? Could Chrollo steal power from Kurapika, given that Kurapika's only a specialist when he has scarlet eyes? Like, are the scarlet eyes the way? Are the scarlet eyes the way? The way forward. Anyway, how do people become members of the Spider Clan? If Chrollo just says, yes, you are now in the Phantom Troop, is that enough for Kurapika's stolen power to be used against anyone Chrollo desires? It was really nice to get a breakdown of what all his chains actually do. One of the things I'd wondered until now was whether they had any more specific abilities and what they might be. It's very specific to each person, clearly, but the idea that a conjurer needs to be exceptionally creative to make their powers do anything useful is really, really interesting to me. He couldn't make an unbreakable chain. We know know that, but it's close. If another phantom trooper decided to try to break the chain while it was around someone else, would that work from the outside? I know it's a chain, but still. I also love that the chain jail is his middle finger. It's the ultimate to the spiders as he catches them in his own web. Wait, he said he can use the chain jail only on Phantom Troop, but specifically said his eyes had to be red for the judgment chain? Does that mean his eyes don't need to be scarlet for the chain jail? Can he hide his abilities from them that much? Or that well? Also, let's discuss Leorio and Killua hiding while Kurapika told some really deep and dangerous information that put him into further danger, but like not actually leaving, meaning that the information that should have been private was in fact not at all private? What is it with the lack of privacy when there really should be? I mean, we can blame that on Kurapika for failing to lower his voice, but how can you say, sure, we're leaving because we're your friends and we don't want to make things worse, then think, nah, we'll listen to it and decide what we think after that. Silly Kurapika. And for Nobunaga, dude, how do you forget the kids that got away from you? Like, that was your only job. You had one job that you gave yourself. What were you even doing while everyone else was away, killing people and stealing things from an auction? How do you forget that you had a couple of teenage boys that actually managed to get away from you? Gon became the center of your world for like a whole minute. You don't deserve an Uvogin Mark II. You didn't take care of the first one. We can't trust you. Maybe you can earn it back. But next time, because that's it from me. If you enjoyed this, hit subscribe, check out this link here and this one or something here, click a thing down here, there's a like button and a ding-a-ling. My ding-a-ling. Bye everyone. Oh, embarrassing.